I'm sorry. 2 words. That's all Min-jun had texted her. 2 words that Zara had stared at for 3 days straight, her finger hovering over the delete button. She never deleted it. She also never responded. Instead, she blocked his number at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. But it was Saturday now, 9:45 a.m., and Zara was standing outside the gallery 15 minutes early, watching Min-jun through the window as he worked at his potter's wheel, completely absorbed. If this is your first time here, you need to watch part 1 immediately, because what happens next will only make sense if you know how we got here. Link to part 1 is in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because this story is about to take a turn that will leave you breathless. The following Saturday, Zara arrived at the gallery and found an envelope taped to the door, her name in Min-jun's handwriting. Inside, a check for 12 million won and a note. The debt is forgiven. You don't have to come back. Zara stared at the check, her heart hammering. This was it, her exit. Clean, simple, no more weekends of awkward tension. She could walk away right now, debt paid, conscience clear. The gallery door opened. Min-jun stood there, eyes red-rimmed like he hadn't slept, wearing the same clothes as last week. You weren't supposed to be early. When did you write this? She held up the check. Last night. I thought. He stopped, ran a hand through his disheveled hair. I thought you wouldn't come. I thought I'd driven you away, and maybe that was better. Cleaner. Better for who? For you? Obviously for you. He looked wrecked. What my mother did, what I didn't do, you shouldn't have to work here after that. Zara ripped the check in half, then quarters. Let the pieces fall like confetti between them. I don't want your guilt money, she said, her voice steady and cold. I want you to look me in the eye and tell me the truth. Are you ashamed of me? No. The word exploded out of him. No, I'm not ashamed. His hands gestured helplessly. It's complicated. Racism usually is, Zara said quietly, for the people perpetuating it. Min-jun flinched like she'd struck him. His face went pale. For a long moment, he just stared at her, chest rising and falling rapidly. Then he sank against the door frame, suddenly looking much older than his years. My mother has very specific ideas about who I should associate with. His voice was muffled, barely above a whisper. She's been like this since my engagement ended last year. Zara's anger stuttered. You were engaged? To a woman she chose, from the right family, right background, right everything, except that we had nothing in common beyond our parents' expectations. He finally looked up, and his eyes were devastated. My grandmother was the only one who supported me when I called it off. And now she's gone, and my mother thinks she can pick my life for me all over again, can decide who I spend time with, who matters. The admission hung between them. Zara's chest ached, but she stayed rooted where she was. I'm not asking you to choose between me and your family, she said. But I can't keep working here if you can't acknowledge when something wrong happens. If you can't, she swallowed hard. If you can't defend me when it matters. Min-jun's eyes met hers, and she saw real pain there. You're right. I should have said something. I'm sorry. It wasn't enough. But it was something. A crack in the wall. As Zara turned back toward the gallery entrance, Min-jun's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, and his entire body went rigid. It's my mother, he said, voice tight. So answer it. She's calling about you. She always calls on Saturdays now, to check that I'm not… He stopped. Not what? Spending time with me? Zara set her bag down with deliberate care. Answer it. Right now, in front of me. Zara, answer it, or I walk out and I don't come back. No check, no contract, just lawyers and debt collection. Answer it. His hand trembled as he pressed accept and put it on speaker. His mother's voice filled the gallery, sharp and probing in Korean. Min-jun, I'm calling to confirm you've handled the situation we discussed. Min-jun's eyes met Zara's. She watched him, waiting. Mother, I'm working right now. Can we? This won't take long. You told me the arrangement with that woman was temporary. Has she finished her work yet? Silence. Zara could hear her own heartbeat. She's standing right here, Mother, Min-jun said finally, his voice stronger. And her name is Zara Okonkwo. She's a curator, not that woman. She's helping me save the gallery. And no, the arrangement isn't temporary. It's a partnership. The line went dead. Min-jun stared at the phone like he couldn't believe what he'd just done. His hands were shaking. Zara felt something shift in her chest. Not forgiveness, not yet, but the possibility of it. That's a start, she said quietly. They worked the rest of the day in careful silence. Not angry anymore, but tender, like they were both nursing wounds that hadn't healed yet. 2 weeks later, Zara arrived to find Min-jun in his studio, surrounded by broken pottery pieces. Not working, just sitting among the shards. Afternoon light slanting through the windows in shades of amber and rose. What happened? She asked from the doorway. I smashed them. His voice was flat, empty. 20 pieces, all from this week's work. I found flaws in every single one. Zara knelt beside him, picked up a fragment. The glaze caught the light, beautiful even in destruction. This is beautiful. It has a crack. So it's worthless. To who? She turned the shard in her hand. Min-jun, who decided that cracks make something worthless? He didn't answer, just stared at the broken pieces like they held answers he couldn't find. Zara stood, moved to his workbench, and found the small wooden box she'd seen him hide weeks ago. Inside, gold powder, resin, delicate tools that looked ancient. What is this? She asked, though she already suspected. Nothing. Put it back. This is kintsugi. She'd researched it after seeing a reference in one of the gallery books. Japanese repair technique. You've been hiding it. My mother would... I don't care what your mother would do. Zara brought the box to him, sat down in the midst of the broken pottery. Show me how it works. Right now. Choose one of these broken pieces and show me. Min-jun's hands shook as he opened the box, as he began mixing the gold resin. My grandmother taught me this when I was 14. Made me promise never to tell my mother. Why? Because learning Japanese techniques was shameful. Because our countries have history that doesn't forgive easily. He began applying gold to a crack, his movements practiced despite the tremor. But grandmother said that holding on to hate was like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Zara watched the gold seam appear, transforming the crack into something luminous. After she died, I threw all of this away, Min-jun continued, his voice breaking. The tools, the materials, everything. I thought I needed to be the perfect Korean potter she'd trained me to be. Traditional, pure, perfect. What changed? You. He looked up, and his eyes were wet. You almost broke her vase, and I realized I'd been about to sell it, to betray her memory for money. And then you offered to help save the gallery, not because you owed me, but because you understood what it meant to try to preserve something that the world doesn't value anymore. His hands stilled on the pottery. You've lived in Seoul for 6 months. How many times has someone made you feel like you don't belong? Today, or total? The small joke cracked something in him. He laughed, broken and wet, and then he was crying, just sitting there with gold on his fingers, surrounded by shards, crying in a way that sounded like it had been building for months. Zara didn't touch him, didn't comfort him, just waited, giving him space to break. "I'm tired of being perfect," he whispered finally. "Good," Zara said softly. "Perfect is boring, and lonely, and impossible." The following Saturday, Zara arrived early and heard voices from Min-jun's office, his and his mother's, raised in sharp Korean that carried through the gallery's open spaces. She should have announced herself, but she stood frozen in the corridor, every word landing like stones in her stomach. "What will people think?" His mother's voice was sharp, cutting. "Your father's colleagues, our family members, the entire art community. You're spending every weekend with this woman. She's working off a debt, that's all." Min-jun's voice was defensive, tight. Zara's chest constricted. She pressed her hand against the wall, needing something solid. "Good. Keep it that way. You have a reputation to maintain. After the broken engagement, you can't afford any more scandal. And certainly not with someone who... Who what, mother?" The words came out hard. A pause. Heavy. Damning. "You know what I mean, Min-jun. Don't make me say it." Zara waited, her heart hammering so hard she felt it in her throat, her fingertips, her temples. She waited for him to defend her, to tell his mother that her barely veiled racism was unacceptable. "I understand," Min-jun said quietly. "It's temporary, just until the debt is paid." The words sliced through her. Zara backed away from the door on numb legs, her vision blurring. She made it to the cataloging station, sat down with perfect posture, arranged her face into careful neutrality. When Min-jun emerged 10 minutes later, she looked composed, professional, completely fine. "You're early," he said, and there was definitely guilt in his voice now. "I'm learning Korean efficiency," Zara replied. Her smile felt like glass, sharp and fragile. They worked in silence for exactly 23 minutes. Zara counted. Then Min-jun's phone rang. His mother again. He looked at the screen, looked at Zara, let it go to voicemail. It rang again. He declined it. It rang a third time. This time he answered, stepping into his office. But the gallery's acoustics were perfect. Zara heard every word. "Yes, Mother. She's here." "No, I haven't. Mother, we've discussed this. I know what you think, but it's complicated. I can't just... Yes, I understand our family's reputation." When he emerged, Zara was standing by the door with her bag. "Wait," he started. "How many times?" she asked, her voice eerily calm. "What?" "How many times has she called during my shifts? How many times have you told her there's nothing going on, that I'm just help, that it's temporary?" His silence was answer enough. "I understand perfectly now." She shouldered her bag. "I understand that every Saturday while I'm here working, you're reporting to your mother that you're keeping me at arm's length, that you're being a good son, that this doesn't mean anything. That's not... Is she right? Is this temporary?" The question hung between them. Min-jun's mouth opened, closed. No sound came out. "That's what I thought," Zara said, and headed for the door. At lunch, when Min-jun brought food from their usual restaurant, hands shaking as he set her container down, Zara's phone buzzed. The Paris Museum. She stared at the notification, her heart racing in a way that had nothing to do with him. "I need to take this," she said, already standing. The conversation was brief, professional, life-changing. When she hung up, Min-jun was watching her with an expression caught between fear and resignation. That was a job offer she said, her voice sounding distant to her own ears. In Paris, curating a new exhibition on contemporary African art. They need an answer in 10 days. Are you going to take it? His voice was carefully neutral, but his hands were fisted on the table. I don't know. She met his eyes. Should I? The question sat between them, heavy with everything they weren't saying. I need to show you something, Min-jun said finally. He led her to his studio, to a shelf she'd never seen uncovered. His hands trembled as he pulled away the cloth, revealing a vase that made Zara's breath catch. It was stunning. Traditional Korean celadon in shape and glaze, but decorated with intricate geometric patterns she recognized immediately. West African Adinkra symbols woven seamlessly with Korean cloud motifs. Fusion and respect. Tradition and evolution. Impossibly beautiful. When did you make this? She whispered. Over the past month. I kept working on it at night, after closing. His eyes met hers, vulnerable and raw. I wanted to try creating something that wasn't just preservation. Something that honored tradition, but also evolution, integration. A pause. You showed me those indigo dyeing techniques from Yoruba culture, and I couldn't stop thinking about how patterns tell stories across different traditions, how maybe there's room for both. Zara reached out, her fingers hovering over the vase's surface. Her eyes were burning. It's beautiful, Min-jun. It's incredible. It's imperfect. His voice dropped. The patterns don't align perfectly. The glaze has variations. My grandmother would have considered it a failure. But you don't? No. He took a shaky breath. I think it's the most honest piece I've ever made. I made it thinking of you. The admission landed like a physical touch. Zara felt tears spill over, hot against her cheeks. I heard you this morning, she said, her voice breaking. Talking to your mother, telling her I was temporary, that this was just about the debt. Min-jun's face went white. Zara, no, you don't understand. When did you make this? She gestured to the vase, her voice hardening through the tears. Before or after you told your mother I was nothing more than help you'd hired. It's not like that. You don't understand the pressure. She's my mother. I can't just... I understand perfectly. Zara stepped back, creating distance, wrapping her arms around herself. I understand that you can create beautiful art inspired by me. You can teach me your grandmother's secrets. You can make me feel like maybe, possibly, there's something real here. Her voice cracked. But when it actually matters, when someone challenges you, you hide. You make me a secret. You make me temporary. That's not fair, Min-jun said, but his voice lacked conviction. Fair? Zara laughed, the sound bitter and broken. You want to talk about fair? I have 10 days to decide my future. And for the first time since I got to Seoul, I'm seriously considering leaving. Because I've spent 6 months falling for a man who's brave enough to create revolutionary art, but too afraid to publicly claim the woman who inspired it. The words hung between them. She watched realization dawn on Min-jun's face, watched his eyes widen with something like horror. His voice cracked. You're falling for me? I was, Zara corrected, her voice shaking as she grabbed her bag. Past tense, because I deserve someone who doesn't need courage to choose me, who doesn't make me feel like a scandal waiting to happen. Debt or no debt, I'm done, Min-jun. She walked toward the door, her vision blurred with tears she finally let fall. Zara, wait. Min-jun's voice broke on her name. I'm done, she repeated, and the door closed behind her with a soft click that sounded like an ending. Has Zara given up on Min-jun forever? And will he find the courage to fight for her before it's too late. Part 3 will absolutely destroy you in the best possible way. Keep watching.